Welcome everyone to the first episode of All In Esports. I'm of course Max Atlas Anderson and I'm joined by the managing director, the wonderful man himself, Nick Vanzetti. Of course, if you don't know me, of course if you're from one of the other esporting organizations, I'm the League of Legends shoutcaster guy. I did that a little bit over their way. Nick, do you want to take us through what we're going to be going over in the first episode here of All In Esports?
Yeah, sure. So this is basically a brand new show, a soft launch, obviously, to have a look at what is the latest in esports news, particularly around Australia, New Zealand, and sometimes globally. And we're going to cover a number of different topics, and from multiple different game titles like League of Legends. We've got some. That's what you're specialty for. That's why you're here. Yep.
Thank you.
Call of Duty. StarCraft II, and of course some fighting game news as well. And
that's something that I'm very, very excited about, I have to admit.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a massive event, but we'll get to that in a moment. Just quickly to give the guys a bit of a rundown on why we exist here at the moment, we're going to be doing a series of shows in the next 4 or 5 weeks with a couple of different presenters and special guests, and then collate everyone's feedback and see what you guys liked, didn't like, what worked, what didn't, and hopefully put on some regular esports content for everyone moving into 2015.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't like people wearing soccer jerseys, even if they did win just recently,
there it is.
Just let us know and we'll make sure we omit those from the next couple of episodes or something like that. But I think that what we're going to start off with is a little bit of League of Legends action. Of course, this is my wheelhouse, so I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable.
I'll pass it over to you. It's all yours.
No, it's not all mine. It's not all mine, of course.
No,
okay. This is ACL. That's all about the League of Legends, am I right?
That's right.
No, but Riot has released some brand new information very, very recently about the finals that are coming up. Of course, they have had the Autumn Regional, which ended up at Supernova in the Gold Coast, which was a gigantic event. Of course, Winter, which was the most recent Oceanic event, of course, helped out a little bit here by ACL over in the Perth Supernova as well, which was a gigantic event itself. So some really, really big events. Finals has now been announced and it's going to be gigantic. We're going to be going over to here in Sydney, of course, for the EB Expo. That's going to be part of the round of 8 here. And of course, we're going over to Auckland as well, which is going to be the other part. And of course, the round of 4 is going to be at PAX. And that's going to be brilliant because that's going to be PAX in Melbourne. And that's going to be the full circle. Of course, Riot Games did find their way to Oceania last year at the same time for PAX. And now they've been here a whole year.
I know.
And it feels like they've been here a lot longer.
They've had just such a huge impact on the scene in the last year. And this year, you know, to use the expression, they've gone full ham.
They certainly have.
And it's been fantastic for everybody who's been involved in League of Legends and competitive esports. So it's good to see such a thrilling end to the season now, or to the year, with these Oceanic regional finals events.
Yeah, and when Riot Games first came to Australia, they said, look, now we're here to stay, and they've really shown that what they can bring once they do get in here. But what I'd like to go through now is exactly how you can qualify through to the finals. If we could just bring up quickly a bit of an overlay here. Of course, Legacy have qualified already. They were our winter champions. They went over to the wild card tournament over in Cologne, Germany. Unfortunately, didn't manage to clinch a spot into Worlds, but they certainly made some waves over there as well. Special shout out to eGym's Alistair. He was gigantic. The next spot that has already been taken is Exodus Gaming, which was formerly Team Immunity. Team Immunity seems to be losing teams across the board, but we'll get onto that a little bit further. But Exodus Gaming, of course, a massive powerhouse here. Of course, Legacy defeating them in the winter finals was a bit of an upset, actually. So both of our two most formidable teams already through, but there are still a lot of spots available. And Nick, I'd like to talk to you about this because the ACL online round is coming up very, very soon. It's going to be this weekend.
Yeah, indeed. There's still plenty of time to register if you are interested in competing. As you mentioned, one team's already gone through from an ACL qualifier. This is the last chance through us with the online tournament this weekend. 40 teams registered already, Max.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
It's going to be massive. You've got up until Friday to register your team. If you love to play competitive league, or if you think you've got what it takes to make the Oceanic regional finals, you need to be in it to win it. So register soon. It's going to be a great weekend, casted by yourself as well, Max. Help us out.
Yep, good old Spawn's coming up as well. Shout out there to Jake Spawn Tiberi, my beautiful co-host.
Yeah, he's a beauuful man.
I called him a co-host. Co-caster? Probably? I'm just trying to go for both of them. Yeah.
Casting again in this room. And
for the first time in this room. I'm excited. This is the first time I've been here. It's lovely.
Something new. It's a little bit different. So hopefully there'll be lots more content coming from here. But other than ACL, there's obviously many more ways to qualify for that regional final spot.
Yeah, there certainly are. Of course, the Cybergamer winner and runner-up are going through as well. That's going to be casted throughout the rest of the season here for Cybergamer. Cybergamer has a lot of games weekly brought to you by Team Down TV. So if you are not knowing where to get a hold of all that, they do have a Twitter. You can go to twitter.com/TeamDownTV if you want to stay up to date with all of that action. You can't cast all of them because they're all often overlapping. There is a lot of teams in the Cybergamer ladder, but we are going to be trying to cover as many as we can over at Team Down TV, so see if you can catch some of that. Of course, the Road to Glory is another way through. This is a little bit new. It did come through for the winter event. 2 teams did qualify through that way. This time it's going to be only 1 team qualifying through from the Road to the Path to Glory. And that's going to be our collegiate / internet cafe teams. So teams like CMS that got through and UTS, they both qualified through. I think both of them were in fact university teams, but that's the way that you can qualify through if you have a team at university. If you have a team that's just in your local area, you can head down to your local cafes as well. And Challenger, the Challenger teams for our ranked 5s here on the Oceanic server, the top team from that Challenger ladder is going to get through as well. That is 7 teams, and this is the exciting part. There is a new way to qualify for our last spot, which is going to be sort of like a wildcard format. It's going to be the runner-up from the Challenger League and, of course, the runner-up from that Road to Glory as well. So they're going to face off against one another for the final spot. So we'll see whether we get 2 Challenger teams or whether we get 2 collegiate / internet cafe teams coming through. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Definitely a lot of great action and hopefully some fresh blood coming back into the mix.
Yeah, it's really, really true. And there's a lot of things to mention as well as far as the teams that are looking really strong is concerned as well. I mean, we saw the likes of Avant-Garde making a comeback. They've got a brand new roster as well. Kensti coming over formerly from a lot of other teams. He's fantastic. So there are a lot of new teams coming through. Of course, Immunity did pick up another team. I'm not sure whether they're still there. There's a lot of different happenings that have been going on, but lots of really, really strong teams looking great for this particular round of 8. So I like to think that the competition is going to have heated up a little bit over the last little while. But let's get on to COD, shall we? Let's discuss what's going on there, Vanza. Take it away.
Yeah, definitely. So ACL, going back to us, we have actually started a Call of Duty League, which is the first time we've done that, emulating a little bit of the MLG model. We've got the top 8 competitive Call of Duty teams competing in this league on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and we've been streaming that from this very room on Tuesday nights at mlg.tv/ACL if you want to watch a little bit of Call of Duty. Let's have a quick look at some of the standings. As you can see there on your screen, Team Storm dominating at the moment with a map score of 12-3. Plantronics Mindfreak not very far behind. Unfortunately, they did have Naked missing from that first week. A lot of hotly contested...
That sentence could have been really interesting.
It really could have, yes. Nakeezy, the player, for those of you who aren't aware, his other pseudonym is Naked. But a lot of hotly contested action in the mid-table. It's still such early days, week 2. We do have another 5 weeks of competitive play to come. But the big news there that you saw, Plantronics Mindfreak. Who are these guys, you might be asking? Well, another former Team Immunity team, doing very well, of course. In the past, they have gone overseas to represent the region twice at the Call of Duty Championships. And will be going again. So now they've teamed up with Plantronics. They've brought the Mindfreak name back, which is a very reputable organisation. And they're going to Paris for the eSports World Cup at the end of October. So that's what's been big in Call of Duty this week.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting as well, because Mindfreak also were a massive name in League of Legends as well. They've just been around esports for so long. Of course, they were one of our most early League of Legends pro teams. All of, I think it was in about 2011. WCG, something like that, something ridiculous. So it's really cool having Mindfreak back. And they were back for a little bit, but they got picked up. I think it was Avant-Garde Ascension were originally Mindfreak. Yes, they were. And then they became Legacy Esports as well, went over to the Wildcard tournament. So a lot of name swaps, a lot of organizations moving around, but it's good to see Mindfreak back.
It is indeed. And this is probably a good point to start talking about StarCraft II.
Oh yeah, the original, the OG StarCraft, the esport to end all esports. Oh my goodness.
Still kicking along strong, and what's news in StarCraft this week? It's, I guess, of course, that treasury-looking, lovely man with the beard. If you don't know what he looks like, I wish we had an image to show you, but he's just such a steely competitor in Heart of the Swarm. And the biggest news, of course, is that he has taken out the AU NZ spot for the MSI Beat It competition. So he'll be travelling to Taipei to contest with the other contenders around the world for a $26,000 prize pool. And
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. So he took down his current teammate there, Petraeus, coming back from the losers bracket to take out that spot. And he's just such a steely competitor, this guy. He's still kicking goals in the World Championship series run by Blizzard. At the moment, he's still kicking on in that competition, hasn't been knocked out, going very, very strong in his groups as well. So I'm sure he'll do pretty well in the MSI Beat It competition. But there is actually some news from ACL. I'm just going to hint that we will be running a StarCraft competition in the next few weeks and streamed live here again from the office on Thursdays with casting from the lovely Zeph. So that will be some intriguing new content and competition for StarCraft fans.
Yeah, that'll be very, very exciting. Does that bring us to our big fighting game information, our big bombshell, the Shadowloo Showdown?
That's it. This weekend, coming soon. Max has got a little bit more information on that.
Yeah. So the Shadowloo Showdown this weekend, of course, last year it was gigantic. I actually managed to find my way down there. Of course, we are in Sydney at the moment. I was formerly living in Melbourne, which is where the Shadowloo Showdown generally gets held, and my goodness, it was fantastic last time. This time, there are some fantastic names to be announced as well. Of course, in the Super Smash Bros. League, Lucky's coming down. That guy's just gigantic. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm actually sort of losing my brain a little bit just because I'm just such a Nintendo fanboy, and just Smash Brothers, watching them wave dash around like crazy people is just so exciting. But also Street Fighter as well is another big one to mention. Last year they did have the likes of Snake Eyes and Shen. Shen was an EVO champion, and they have promised some other gigantic names from the Street Fighter community as well. So that's going to be really exciting. Of course, lots of other fighting games are going to be there as well. So make sure you head on down if you are around, and we can quickly pop that up on your stream as well. I mean, shadowlogic.com is where you can find it, and where you can find all the information here for the Shadowloo Showdown 5. So make sure you get down there. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, obviously that one happening this weekend. So, you know, quite a lot of news in the esports world in this first episode of...
and it's supposed to be a soft launch as well.
I know. It's hard when there's so much going on. But I think that's about all we've got from our news section, is it, Max?
Yeah, I think it is. So we're going to go to a quick break, but afterwards we're going to be back with our friend Nick Vanzetti for a quick interview, and we're going to have a talk about ACL, how it's going, and all that sort of stuff. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to All in Esports. Now on the couch, here with Nick Vanzetti, and this is a bit of a more casual, calm interview where we're just going to sit down and just chat about the ACL life here with Nick. And firstly, I just want to mention a quick, I guess, props to you, because you had me on for ACL Melbourne. I think it was a couple of years ago. I don't know, you probably don't even remember, you know, because there's just so much exciting stuff going on in the world of Vanza. But you actually took a chance. You know, you had me and Dale, and we were there with Menace as well, and we casted for you for ACL Melbourne. It was my first shot, man. You gave me my first shot into the world of casting, and I've always appreciated it. Never had such a public way of saying things.
Yeah, well, this is pretty public. Yeah, I remember that event. It was a good one.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Down at Latrobe. Oh, how things have come further since then. And of course, this is what I want to talk about with you first, is events and what the plans are for the future, potential locations. A lot of people have been asking whether we're going to be getting more regional for ACL events, stuff like that. Can you talk us through what the plans are for events in the future?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I knew a lot of questions would come up for 2015. And the truthful answer is that we're definitely taking a long, hard look at how we're going to structure 2015 at the moment. So we don't have anything concrete to announce at this point, because we are radically changing what we're going to be doing. So we already did that a lot this year by making a much bigger event at ACL Sydney, having everyone under the one roof. It was a fantastic event and great to put on, but there are a lot of challenges in putting on an event that big. Yep. So at this point, I can't really give too much away as to exactly what we have planned events-wise next year. We'll definitely be doing live events. We love doing them, and we're specialists at doing them, I suppose. But yeah, can't confirm any details just yet.
Okay, and talking about events as well, I mean, ACL is known for having lots and lots of titles. Of course, you did mention ACL Sydney. There were all sorts of different games that were being played. Of course, the likes of FIFA, Smash Brothers, StarCraft, League of Legends, COD, the list goes on. It's just huge.
Yeah.
Are you going to be limiting, maybe getting in more titles? What's your thoughts as far as platforms are concerned? Because you can imagine that you could be stretched fairly thin being asked by a lot of these different platforms and players as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the more you scale up to, the more people you need. And being in a volunteer organisation, there's only so far you can do that before, you know, people are falling asleep while running a stream, or you know, it's very demanding and challenging to ask that of everyone. So in terms of what titles we're going to run and how far we go and we scale, really just depends on how big those titles are and the community that are willing to follow them. You know, we started with Halo back in 2006.
I was going to ask you about that, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to jump to it a little bit now. You know, the next Halo might come back, but if the community isn't sort of following Halo or participating in our tournaments or events, then there really needs to be that justification for us to be able to continue doing that.
Now, I can imagine it would be very hard as well with the fact that Halo, brand new Halo's coming out. You don't know already how many people are going to be playing it, because of course it's not here yet. So how are you supposed to know what the competitive aspect is, how you're supposed to get teams involved, organizations, stuff like that?
Here's a trick for you then, Max. It's actually a re-release of the old Halos.
What?
Yeah, I know. But that's actually really good news, because the developers took a bit of a turn in the latest Halos that were a bit awry. So going back to the roots will actually be a really positive thing for the Halo community.
Okay. I know Halo 2 was massive in the competitive scene, but
exactly
sort of fell off after that.
And there's already been, at Gamescom the other week, a couple of big Halo 2 tournaments promoting as part of that new Master Chief Collection that's coming out. So look, we're definitely interested in potentially bringing back Halo. And I know that was potentially one of those questions, you know, how big will it go? I don't have the answer to that just yet. We need to see how many people want to play it, whether or not, you know, publishers want to get involved in helping put on a big event or whatnot, and so on.
Yeah, and another question as well, as far as the types of games that you're going to be playing. You did used to have FIFA. You took that out for a little bit, but it was brought back here for ACL Sydney. Is FIFA, is it here to stay finally, or are we going to see a dip off of FIFA again? Was it just a trial?
Look, we loved running FIFA way back when we first started it. It was quite small, and there were just so many different groups that wanted to run events. And we did sort of put it to the back burner a bit, but I was so proud to be running the Sydney event that we just ran. It was the biggest thing. I feel like we really did it justice. It had its own stage, its own live stream, and the winner is going to Paris. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better tournament at the one we had in Sydney, and I would love to keep working with the FIFA community. The guys are so grateful, and just a great bunch of gamers.
I remember the FIFA stage was huge. It was like right in the middle of ACL Sydney as well, so everyone could hear everyone losing their minds about.
Well, it definitely had a lot of atmosphere. Definitely had a lot of atmosphere. So, look, I definitely say that we would love to keep involved in the FIFA community and run FIFA at events where it makes sense. But potentially we might be getting more integrated with other FIFA groups. So Oz FIFA, those guys who are running tournaments, are doing a great job and have a new website at the moment. If they want our help, or vice versa, we're going to put our hand up and basically do what we can to keep FIFA going where we can.
So more about facilitation rather than running it yourself. That sounds good. Sounds fantastic. We've had a lot of questions actually about on social media and stuff like that when you did announce that we were going to be having this little interview about whether there's any way for people to help ACL in the future, whether they could find employment, something like that, some way of helping out so that they can bring ACL to the next level. Is there a way that volunteers can get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always the first to put my hand up and say, look, I'm kind of sorry. A lot of people may not know the right way to sort of channel their energy into ACL. And we have done sort of posts on social media and whatnot to attract people to sign up and start getting involved. But that's the thing. It is a volunteer organisation, 100%. Every dollar that comes from sponsors goes back into the events and making sure that the gamers are having the best time, or it might be prize money or whatnot. So the best way is just to contact us. We do have a volunteer application form, or a contact method available on our website. So the best thing is really just to put your hand up. And what I need to say here, though, is that just make sure that you keep reaching out to us. Sometimes it's difficult to find the right job or role or task that someone might be interested in. And above all, we're looking for people to help us out at our events when we announce our events and in the lead up. But we do need tournament admins and people to help out with the website and bits and pieces like that as well. So just drop us a line on social media and we'd love to hear from you.
It's fantastic. And you did mention the website as well. Brand new website.
Mm-hmm.
I know George here at ACL has been working very, very hard trying to get that one up and running. What are the plans for content and things like that are going to be on the new website? Because it looks really fancy. Is there going to be extra stuff that you're going to be doing?
Gotcha. Look, for starters, our website was needing an overhaul for quite some time.
I didn't want to mention it. I didn't want to embarrass anyone, but I'm glad you sort of mentioned the elephant in the room.
It was a little bit outdated, and we knew that. We've been playing to our strengths, which have been live events. But we are really proud to have relaunched the website. As you mentioned, Midnight and Brain put an awful lot of time into that, along with the assistance of JB. But where we're sort of seeing the website go and where we want it to go is to be more of an information and content portal. Mm-hmm. So to make sure that we have up-to-date stats and results and all the latest streams that we're running with the content that we ramp up is our aim. We don't really want to we don't want to write long articles or have a lot of news like that, but we do want to make sure that our portal is always up to date and has the latest information on the events or content that we're running. Yeah,
sort of easy access stats and things like that are really, really
that's what we're working.
Streamlined ACL business.
Correct. There's a bit of work to do. We've only just gone out of beta, and there's a bit of work to update some of those pages, but that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, and I know you've been working with MLG for COD. Is there a sort of MLG affiliation that you're working towards in the future, or is that sort of just something for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to MLG since 2012. We've gone to their office in New York twice now. Wow. I mean, it's always been a little bit behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't really sort of see it. But we're essentially a partner to MLG in the sense of content, and obviously we're streaming all of our Call of Duty on the MLG platform. So we already have an affiliation there, and we have regular meetings to sort of determine a lot of the structures and processes that we use with our ACL Call of Duty. At the moment, it doesn't necessarily make sense to tie in our other titles or our other games. But where that does make sense, we'll relook at that relationship and where it's going. So, we already have somewhat of a partnership here. If it made sense for MLG to sort of come out to Australia and just run this massive MLG, then they would. been talking about that kind of thing on and off for a long time. But at this point, it is what it is, and we're always open to if that changes.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. And I actually like just having ACL because I feel like ACL MLG seems like way too big of an acronym. It's just a little bit ridiculous. Now, I want to go into some more personal questions here, and we've had a few come in. Of course, the first one is going to be, did you ever think that you'd be where you are today? I don't know, it sounds a little bit corny, but I like it. If you could have a conversation with the Nick Vanzetti of 2 years ago, what would you tell him? What would you ask him?
Yeah, okay. Look, 2 years ago, probably wouldn't think that we would sort of get here. A lot of people sort of ask me how did I get involved in this, and it actually happened by accident. Not really answering the question, but I'll tell you guys anyway.
I was going to say, a bit off track, but yeah, that's fine. Let's just go for it.
It's sort of, I'll loop back to it. It sort of makes sense. Sometimes I tell long-winded stories.
Tangenting.
Yeah.
Good, I like it.
Anyway, long story short, an event was being run, and the event organisation wasn't as strong as I thought it could have been from an outsider's point of view. And I sort of stepped in and ended up taking charge of this Halo LAN. And everything just sort of snowballed, and I would have lost $5,000 on that event.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
I spent big on consoles and screens to make a main stage to sort of emulate MLG and everything. And by that point, I was just too deep into it. I thought, well, I'm never going to get this money back. I may as well keep going. And then we sort of are where we are now. So did I expect, longer than 2 years ago that I would be here now? No. But if I was to give myself advice, I'd say...
don't worry, it's not a waste.
I'd say, look, I'd say, Nick, you're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot of time...
This took a dark turn.
Yeah, I know. I'm all very grateful for it, but, the advice I would say is to not to have given up. I mean, we went through a lot of highs and lows when I first came to Sydney. I moved away from my girlfriend. But with the team that I came down with, it's not just me. There's 4 other guys who came down interstate to make ACL what it is today. And we've all given up a lot.
Yeah.
So, my advice would be just stick with it. Keep doing what you do because we love what we're doing, which is putting on these wicked events. And then, I guess you're going to see a lot of fun, Nick.
Yeah. Well, that actually it does segue quite well into my next question, which is, what has been your biggest joy over the past 2 years as far as what you've been doing here at ACL?
Yeah, that segues nicely.
Broad question.
It is broad. It is broad, but as we've sort of built up ACL, I mean, that's been one thing, and we've been really happy about putting on these fantastic events. But we're always realistic about what we can actually achieve with no money, and on top of a full-time job. So when we sort of transitioned to have ACL also help publishers put on their big events, so Blizzard in 2012, the World Championship Series, we started working with Activision, Call of Duty Championships, just these massive events that are put on with a budget, and then to work with Riot and League of Legends in the last few years have just been fantastic because it's always been our dream to put on these massive events and improve the production and push the envelope. But we've never been able to do that until we've basically been enabled by the publishers. And that, to me, is the biggest joy. So to be able to see, a couple of thousand people in a League of Legends audience watching the finals and then, confetti coming out and everything like that.
That was my favourite moment. Oh my goodness.
Incredible. So working with publishers and putting on the some of Australia's biggest esports events is definitely the shining moments.
Yeah, well, I can completely understand that one, absolutely. And another question, which is probably one that you've got fairly often, is that if you had a piece of advice to someone trying to get into the esports industry, what would it be? And preferably something that you wish you had been told when you first got started.
Yeah, look, I think it's just to keep a fairly level head. And, like whether you're getting in as an organizer or someone who wants to create content or even as a player, it's to stay committed to your goals, but don't kill yourself doing it. and realize that you're not going to just reach success overnight.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to make a name for yourself down in this region with where esports is. But if you love it, just make sure you always keep enjoying it. Don't get to a point where you're no longer enjoying it, because obviously you're going to become, you're going to get a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah. And when a lot of it is voluntary, especially here at ACL, things like that, I mean, you're going to be doing things that you're not going to be getting paid for necessarily. So if you love esports, do it for the love. Don't expect fat stacks.
Exactly.
That sort of thing. Oh, my goodness. And the last question is probably the corniest. My personal favorite is, who is your role model? Nick Vanzetti. You're mine, if that's a good example. So
thanks so much, Max. Look, I think this is a hard question for me to answer, because I don't necessarily, look up to one person. Well, not in esports anyway. I think it's always important to look at what everybody's doing and what works and what doesn't work, and learn from mistakes. And I think it's sort of kept me a little bit more well-rounded, rather than just aspiring to be
the next so-and-so,
Yeah, just like this, the Sundance or the Robert Olin or whatever. I don't have a role model in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to keep abreast of what everyone else is doing. Obviously, there's people that we look up to, which are those, big companies and organizations and team managers and whatnot.
Yep.
But there's no one person, sorry.
No,
so that's a dud answer.
Yeah, it's a dud answer, but that's absolutely fine. And I've got one final question here, and I just really want your thoughts on where esports is going. And over the next few years, do you think esports is going to explode? I have a feeling that it's probably going to only get bigger from here.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think the potential here in Australia is as far as esports is concerned?
It's just been such an incredible journey, particularly in the last 2 years. I mean, I always used to say to people, and I was actually reading my responses to a journalist from about 4 years ago, right, the other day, and my responses were, we're 5 years behind, North America and Europe or Korea, for example. Mm-hmm. And I feel in the last 2 years, we're now only maybe 3 years behind or 2 years behind. We're never going to be at the same scale as some of those bigger markets like in Europe and Korea, because it just doesn't make sense to put on something so enormous for 20 million people, and we're such a small esports audience as it does overseas. But that doesn't mean we're not going to grow enormously for where we're at.
Yeah.
So I feel the last 2 years, particularly with the publisher involvement, obviously from the likes of Riot Games, has just seen us catch up so much, and we're starting to get noticed more on the world scale. And 5 years ago, that was very, very difficult to do.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're only on the up. We're only on the up. And I would love to say that internationally, globally, esports is going to continue, going crazy, because, we're already selling out stadiums and everything. So I think the future is very bright.
Yeah, I reckon it's looking very good, very good. But we are coming towards the end. Are there any final things you want to say? Any thank yous or anything like that, Mr. Vanzetti?
Well, thank you for coming out here to be a presenter on this great show,
welcome.
Max. Hopefully, you guys are going to start to see that we're really trying hard to put a lot more effort into content. Call of Duty, StarCraft show starting soon, this esports show. We're going to be streaming the League of Legends event on the weekend.
On the weekend, yeah.
And then
I'll be there.
Oh, I hope so. The stream will be really boring.
Oh, no, you said thank you to me at the end of the interview. You've got me now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was all part of the plan. All part of the plan.
It's free water as well. So, no. Thanks very much to the esports community. Just make sure, you guys keep doing what you're doing. Compete in these events and support the people that support you, because without all these volunteer content creators and tournament organisers, I'm not just talking about us, I'm talking about Cybergamer.
Yep, no self-plug, yep.
Team Down TV, all these people that do this, we need to coexist and be thankful for each other and respect the efforts that go in for what really is a developing scene.
Yeah, we've got to cultivate esports. But that's going to be all there is on All in Esports. I'm sorry, didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do the that's all in esports terrible pun. He's been going on about it all day, but I just feel like we've got to stay a little bit more professional than that.
Well, we've just brought it up now.
Yeah,
so.
I thought I'd give it to you, but then make sure that you knew that you were being an idiot at the same time. Nailed it. Don't even worry.
We do love puns, us two. So.
Oh, damn it. He's on to me. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been All in Esports, and we will see you next time. And I probably won't, but this show will be back again. So thank you very much for watching.
Thanks, guys.